Okay then, so we're going to touch on a subject now, which this is more of an opinion piece from me and how I see this laws interpreted and what I see happening around me, and it's been prompted by a recent problem of a client of mine has been stopped by the police in their car. They've been fined, and in theory they shouldn't have been fined, but it was down to the interpretation of the policeman who stopped them on the day, whether they were a resident or not. And yeah, anyway, so we're going to crack on. How long can I drive a foreign plated car in Spain before registering it? Right, I wrote an article on this for our website, and again, as I said, it's an opinion of mine, and I think, you know, after years and years here, it's sort of, you want to express why you feel, why I always tell people this, and trying to put it into words and trying to explain in simple terms why I believe that you shouldn't keep a vehicle in Spain more than 3 months if you intend to stay here, live here and register it. You'll see out there that there's a lot of information that says that you can keep a vehicle here for 6 months, okay, before registering it. All right, there's so much information out there telling you that. Right, I think it's risky doing that, but I'm going to tell you where that information comes from. So the information comes from the law, which is the law 38 of 1992 from the 28th of December, which was also updated in 2011, according to the article that I wrote, which is here, which please have a look. It's the links below if you want to read about it. And that law basically states that the means of transport new or used referred to in this law must be subject to definitive registration in Spain when they are intended to be used in Spanish territory by persons or entities that are residents in Spain or that own establishments located in Spain. Okay, that sounds fairly straightforward, doesn't it? But they normally apply this law if they believe that you are a fiscal resident, i.e. that you have spent more than 183 days in Spain. All right, and they don't distinguish between people who have formalised their residency, whether you've got a residency card or not. If they've spotted that you're in Spain and you've been in Spain for more than 183 days, then you will have a fine because you haven't paid the relevant special registrations tax, and in some cases the import tax of the vehicles from outside the EU. The same fines also apply for people who are caught driving in Spain where the vehicle is in an illegal situation, so no tax or no MOT. If it's no MOT, you're likely to have the vehicle picked up and taken to the pound. If you get caught with no tax, okay, and the person who stops you, whichever police force it stops you, interprets it that you should have registered the vehicle, you'll get a fine for not paying the special registrations tax, and you'll still have to go through the process of registering the vehicle. And in most cases, if you get a fine for not paying the special registrations tax, it comes with a 5-day notice that you have to have paid that tax and presented it to the police. Okay, so but this everybody always relates to the 6 months, which relates to the fiscal residency. So whether you've actually physically done your residency or not, if you get stopped, it's interpreted that you've been here for more than a 6-month fiscal period, then you are a fiscal resident here, and that car has to be registered in Spain because you are basically avoiding taxes. Okay, because the registration comes with its own tax obligations, or not, depending on the situation of the vehicle, the emissions. But we'll do that in another video, not another vehicle, another video. Okay then, so this is where the 6-month thing comes from. Why do I think it's 3 months? And I'm going to tell you why it's safer to register your vehicle within 3 months. Okay, the first thing is evidently, okay, you have insurance. Now, insurance, normally when you bring a vehicle abroad, you can only get a green card for up to 3 months, which is your holiday period, which we're going to carry on talking about. So as we know, if you're an EU citizen or if you're a third country national, if you want to stay over the 90-day period as an EU citizen, you still have to register your intent to be a resident here in Spain and reside in Spain. This isn't controlled. We're going to go talk about that in a minute as well. There's not many people out there stopping EU citizens and saying, have you been here more than 90 days? Okay, But in theory, you're supposed to do that. And evidently, if you're a third country national and you have to stay within the Schengen movement rules, shall we say, if you want to stay longer than you would have already arrived with a visa, and you have to have that visa registered within 30 days of arriving. So whatever happens, the insurance that you have is probably going to last on your green card for 3 months, and it'll either the policy will seriously drop in the amount of assistance you'll get if there is an accident. So a lot of people I've heard have had a fully comp, which after 3 months drops down to third party fire and theft, which is the minimum insurance. I have seen some people at the end of that period take out an insurance in Spain with a Spanish provider, which it covers foreign vehicles. But then when they've been stopped by the police interpret them as being residents here in Spain, and they get fined anyway. So the vehicle's perfectly legal, you've been here less than 6 months, you've got it insured by a provider over here, and guess what? You've been fined because they interpret you as being a resident here. Okay, so that's my first point. The second point is from experience with, obviously you've got to remember here that we have Guardia Civil, Tráfico, so they have Tráfico Division, we have National Police, Tráfico Division, we have local police who deal with traffic. Okay, in the north of Spain as well, obviously you have the Mossos de Escuadra, who have their traffic division as well. So, and I'm sure there's various other police forces around Spain in local areas, which are slightly different to what we have here in Andalusia. So, if you're pretty confident at fighting your cause, you know, if you get stopped by a policeman and say, no, it's okay, I've been here 5 months, but we're legal because this law says X, Y, Z, then great, go for it. Normally, in my experience, and the last time we spoke to Mijas at local police, they said if they see a vehicle on the street for more than 3 months, then they consider it to be the ownership of a resident, and they pick it up and they put it in the pound. That's not fair in some cases, because in some cases people aren't residents, they're travelling to their holiday homes or what have you. But again, it's one of those. What do? Do you argue the toss with them? I can guarantee you'll first have to pay the fines and get the car back. So yeah, they did say to me, this was before the lockdown, when I spoke to them about this, they said after around 3 months they see a vehicle, if it's got no tax and MOT they definitely pick it up, and if they've seen it hanging around for 3 months then they pick it up anyway, because they consider that to be owned by a resident. So there we go. That's another reason why you should do it within 3 months. And I'm going to revert back to my article here. What else did we say here? Lost where we are now. Yeah, so anyway, physical residency. We're going back to that now. Evidently, as we said, you have to register as a resident after 90 days. If you're then driving a foreign vehicle and you get stopped, even though you've been here within the 6 month period, it's very, very hard, because you're going to produce a residency card to argue the toss whether you are still allowed to keep your vehicle, because as we relate back to the law, it says in the law that residents have to register their vehicle. All right. So I personally believe, because of the insurance liabilities, the position of your residency and having to register within 3 months, and the fact that the police, no one wants to argue with the police. I wouldn't argue with the police. I've been here 22 years. My Spanish is great, and I still wouldn't want to argue with them. Is 3 good reasons for you to register your vehicle within 3 months of coming into Spain, rather than the 6 months, which is widely published. Just to add another spin to that, okay, you can get temporary registration plates. Now, I've seen people, these last for 2 months, I've seen people, should we say, push it right to the back of the envelope of the 3 months, then get temporary registration plates, which gives you another 60 days to then drive the vehicle and register it here in Spain. The temporary resident P plates, you can get those if the vehicle has no MOT, if it doesn't come from the UK or any technical inspection for its country of origin, doesn't have its tax paid in the country of origin. That's not a problem. It allows you to drive that vehicle for 60 days while you, shall we say, fix the situation of the vehicle. Don't let them expire. It's an absolute nightmare, or nigh on impossible, to get temporary plates renewed. You just can't do it. We've tried on many occasions with the EGT, and you'd have to have really crazy circumstances for them to allow it. They just don't allow the temporary plates to be renewed. So, and remember, could take a month to get your ITV appointment. You've got to get a ficha técnica reducida or a certificate of conformity. If there's any adjustments you have to make to the vehicle, then it has to be done within 60 days of passing the ITV, which then takes you past your 60 days of your plates anyway. And then when you register with DGT, appointments aren't that readily available, and even if you're using a professional like ourselves, it could take 5 to 10 working days for the plates to be released. Okay, so it's always a good idea before you come to plan when you want to start the process. Make sure that your tax and MOT, if you're coming from the UK, are valid. Make sure your insurance is valid, and if you're pushing it right to the back of the 3-month envelope, make sure you get your temporary plates in place to drive around while you're fixing the situation. When I say fixing the situation, I mean while you're registering your vehicle. Okay, so that's it. It was just basically, that's my opinion. I've seen a lot of, the reason this all came up is because someone said to me, I read online in some very good, it's a very good website actually, it gives very good information, that you're allowed to keep your vehicle for 6 months, have been stopped by the police, have been fined. And I offered this opinion, and that turned into an article, and I thought it would make a good YouTube video. So if you like our content, please subscribe here or wherever it is. And yeah, if you need a vehicle registering or anything to do with residency in Spain, visas, non-lucrative visas, golden visas, NI, EU residency, then please drop in the comments your name, and I'll give you the contact details on how we can help.